Hey, I'm Stuart.
And I'm Savannah.
We're both really passionate about helping people connect to their friends and neighbors. And we know you might have a lot of questions as you get started leading your life group, but remember, you're not starting it alone.
That's right. You have the support of your local life groups, life missions team, and your coach.
Right, and we want nothing more than to see you and your life group flourish as you and the people in your life group start finding your people.
We know that every life group is going to look and feel different because every leader is different. This includes how you meet, like if you primarily meet online versus in person, how you spend your time together, or how frequently you meet. Embrace the differences you see in your own life group while also being open to learning from other leaders around you.
Yeah, and because we know that you probably still have a lot of questions when it comes to leading your life group, we want to spend some time going over the top 5 questions that we get asked the most. Okay, so question 1. What content, curriculum, and resources can I use when my life group gets together? And how do I know what to do?
The You've Heard It Said podcast is a great place to start. This podcast was created specifically for life groups, and each season explores an overall theme for your life group to talk about. Every episode features stories of people living out what's talked about. I love it because there's always a next step that you can take together as a life group. Plus, each episode has a conversation guide, and every season has its own Bible plan. Just make sure you're sending the episode to your group in advance so that everyone can listen before you're together. Then, when you're at life group, you can use your time talking about what you heard.
Yeah, that's great. And another resource that I recommend to life groups is the weekly Talk It Over. This is a conversation guide that can help you discuss the weekend messages. It has key scriptures, discussion questions, and next steps. And it's a great way to take the message you hear out on the weekend and live it out during the week.
If there's a specific theme, topic, or resource that you want to explore with your life group, talk with your coach. Every campus has a content library that you can browse through for great resources too. You can also explore the resources tab on the life group's website.
Yeah, and remember that your role is not to have all the answers or to know all the theology when it comes to leading your life group. Instead, the goal is to be prepared to facilitate a conversation. And if there are questions, you might know the answer, but you also might not, and that's okay. You can work together as a life group to search for the answers together.
Okay, question 2. What do I do if nobody shows up?
Yeah, so that makes me think of 2 different things. The first is that it's going to take some time for your life group to take off and grow. In fact, it's a normal part of the process. And I understand how that can feel pretty frustrating, which is why it's important to think of ways that you can recruit people. Think of the people that you already meet with, maybe at the gym, at work, or even your favorite coffee shop. Or think of some friends that might be interested in joining. It never hurts to ask and invite. The worst they're going to do is say no, and at least you know you tried, and you can ask again at a later time.
Right, and I think this also applies to the people who find your group through the life group's website. When someone shows interest in your group, you'll get an email with their contact information so that you can connect with them. They may not try it on the first week, so be okay with following up after.
You can start a group chat with the people who show interest in your group and reach out during the week for prayer requests or to share an encouraging Bible verse. It may take a little bit for people to actually come, but if you're consistently showing up for them, they'll be more likely to show up for your life group.
All of this reminds me of Galatians 6:9. It says, "Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." I've seen life groups that took time to launch and get people coming consistently, but because of the diligence and faithfulness of their leaders and God's perfect timing, those groups are now thriving.
Yeah, and remember, God's placed a specific passion on your heart for this life group. And it may take some time to grow, but He gave you that passion for His purposes. So trust in Him, knowing that He'll bring the right people in His perfect time.
This next question is going to be helpful if your life group meets in person. So question 3. I want my life group to be open to kids, but what will they do while we're having life group?
Yeah, so another great question, and I'm going to speak from personal experience about my life group. We have a handful of adults with a handful of kids in there, and so what we've decided to do is to have a designated room that our kids can go play together, but also watch Life Kid videos while we meet together and go through Talk It Over notes.
That's so insightful. Thanks, Stuart.
Yeah.
You can also connect with your coach or another life group leader who has kids in their life group to see what they might recommend. And also remember that despite how unorganized it might feel, you're setting an example for your kids that is invaluable. Not only are you showing them what it looks like to live in a godly community, you're also giving them the opportunity to experience community too. I've seen life groups celebrate kids' birthdays together, cheer on kids at soccer games, and even show up with flowers for musicals.
Okay, so next question, number 4. What does life group look like if we primarily meet digitally?
We live in a world where there are so many resources that we can use to connect with people, whether they live next door or across the globe. And I think it's really cool that God's using technology to help people find their people.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because there are so many options for how we can connect digitally with others, the options for life group leaders are pretty much endless. A video call with my life group could be really similar to the conversations we have in person.
Right? And then I think about the different ways that text or chat groups are possible too. You can connect with your life group over text just like you would your best friend. And the people in your life group don't even need to be on the same continent to still be in community together. I could send a discussion question, a Bible verse, or even what I'm currently learning about God to start a conversation with my life group.
Yeah, I really like that you mentioned sharing a Bible verse or what you're learning about God, because it makes me think about our YouVersion Bible app. There's a feature called Plans of Friends that lets you invite your friends to join you when you start a new Bible plan. And when you use that feature, you can leave your thoughts about what you're reading each day for your friends to read.
That's true. And what I love about all of this is that it really doesn't matter if this is the primary way you're connecting with your life group or not. You can have a text thread or do Bible plans with your life group, whether you're meeting online or in person. You can have both.
So here's our last question, number 5. What's your favorite tip for a new leader starting a group?
I love that question. I find myself encouraging new leaders to find a co-leader. A co-leader is someone who works with you to plan the vision of the life group, choose what content you go through, and manage the logistics for when you meet, like planning food, location, and time.
Yeah, co-leaders actually make me think of Proverbs 27:17, which says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And we say this all the time, but we truly are better together, and that applies to you leading your life group. One of the ways that you can apply these scriptures to your life group is by identifying a co-leader who helps you carry the responsibility of leading.
A co-leader has unique experiences and strengths that will complement yours in a way that benefits the entire group. Together, you can share ideas for the life group, support each other in leading if one of you isn't able to make it, pray for each other, share hosting and preparation responsibilities, and so much more.
Yeah, and it's okay if you don't have this co-leader immediately. We do believe that God will bring the right person to you at the right time. So if you don't think you have that person yet, start praying about it. And if you do have someone in mind, connect with your coach so that they can walk through this process with you.
We know that this is a lot of information and you probably have a lot of questions, possibly even more questions than before you started this training. That's normal and totally okay. In fact, look at this as an opportunity to connect with your coach and start finding answers to these questions together. Remember, they're your go-to person for support, encouragement, ideas for content, and more. They're here to help you and your group thrive.
We are so grateful that you've taken the time to grow as a leader, maybe even before your life group has officially launched. And we're praying with you as you get started, and we can't wait to see what God does with your yes to lead. And remember, whoever finds God finds life.